Set Tahin. Today we're going to be talking about the Sultanate of Mogadishu. One of the earliest sultanate kingdoms in the area was the Mogadishu Sultanate, which lasted roughly 600 years. This area has been inhabited for a long time, with poetry, tombs, shelters, and other evidence. This evidence shows humans have inhabited the area for over 12,000 years. The Mogadishu Sultanate was a diverse place with many different customs and cultures. Original peoples who formed the area would overall accept visitors from different parts of the world, though that does not mean all original people in the area accepted visitors and their beliefs from outside of Africa or inside of Africa. Naturally, there were different groups of people from different parts of Africa, such as the Berbers from the West and North Africa, within the region, and from lower parts of East and Central Africa. Whether some cultures assimilated, were forced to assimilate, or left the area, this would form the Sultanate. Due to religious beliefs and acceptance in the Middle East, some Arabs would seek refuge in Africa, especially in East Africa. The Abyssinians, or what is referred to as modern-day northern part of Ethiopia, was one of the first African empires and kingdoms to accept different religious beliefs and was a safe haven for many Arabs practicing Islam. The Sultanate of Mogadishu, or modern-day Somalia, also had very similar acceptance of Arabs seeking refuge. Some people were open to helping due to strife in their homeland, and others would not participate in these new beliefs and ways of life. After the majority native African peoples converted to Islam, this would lead to a grand mosque being built in the area, and then to the unification and establishment of the Mogadishu Sultanate. The Sultanate would be very rich in gold and traded many resources, goods, and gifts with the world. Some civilizations the Sultan traded with was the Ming Dynasty of China, India, Middle Eastern civilizations, and other African kingdoms and empires. The goods that left the ports of the Sultanate are believed to travel to parts of the world most do not think about at the time. The Sultanate would start to rise in power and become known as a beautiful city kingdom that merchants, traders, royalty, and empires had to visit and pay respect to. Visitors from across the world stated they saw many things while in the Mogadishu Sultanate. Various cultures, languages, and people of different ethnic backgrounds could be found in the markets. The kingdom became even more powerful with influence in the Indian Ocean by selling livestock, leather, ivory, manpower, slaves, and gold. Ibn Said stated during his travels that the Sultanate was already the leading Islamic center in the region. Ibn Battuta stated the city was prosperous beyond most of what he saw in the world, that the city was a large city with high-quality fabrics and rich merchants at every corner. These fabrics were exported to Egypt, Asia, and the Middle East. In these markets you could find Mogadishuan merchants, Arab merchants, Asian merchants, European merchants, and other African merchants. He also stated that the city was ruled by a Somali sultan who spoke Benadir and Mogadishan language. The sultan also spoke Arabic, stating he could speak all these languages with excelling proficiency and could switch from one to another on a drop of a dime. The sultan also had ministers, commanders, legal experts, and other counsel at his call. For some time, the kingdom controlled the gold trade in the Indian Ocean area. People within the city would wear rich white silk wrapped around their bodies and turban head wraps on their heads. The people on the coast would wear sarongs, with weapons consisted of swords, daggers, spears, bows, and battle axes. Through trade, the kingdom also had cannons, guns, and other firearms. Abyssinian Christians from Ethiopia were also further inland. The city was surrounded by stone walls. The Sultan had royal coast guards who would investigate foreign ships, ask their purpose in the Sultanate, what their ships were carrying, and escort them to the kingdom's shores. The ships and its occupants were either dealt with by the Royal Coast Guard or brought to the Sultan for a royal greeting. Over time, dynasties would change in the Sultanate, and during the late 1400s to the early 1500s, Portugal would try to invade the region. The Portuguese would be pushed back by the Sultan. As time went along, the Sultanate would change from dynasty to dynasty and would eventually change the name Sultan to the name Imam. The Sultanate also had a very rich future and even had a minted currency that was used. Due to the richness and prosperity of the kingdom, it is believed that the coins minted actually cost less money to create. This currency was created to trade with other countries in the Indian Ocean. These coins were locally casted as well. The 23 sultans of the kingdom are also known through these coins. Engravements of the sultans and other Islamic leaders were embedded in these coins. The Mogadishan currency were widely used and have been found in Africa, the Middle East, Southern Europe, India, and China. These coins were used all the way up to the 1700s. A Greek man by the name of Yakut Al became a prisoner of war and was sold into slavery to a Baghdad merchant. This merchant would go on to educate, teach, and free Yakut. Yakut would soon go on his own to work. He then returned to his original owner to work before setting out into the world after his original owner died. He became known for traveling and his encyclopedia of the Muslim world. This included historical and cultural data. He speaks on cities like Zayla and Berbera, but said many things about the city-state of Mogadishu. He spoke of how well he was treated upon arrival. He also spoke of how diverse the population in the city was. There were not just Mogadishan natives, but Arabs, Asian, and other African tribes, and even royalty from other Arab, Asian, and African kingdoms. Yakut was also impressed with how the Sultan, or Imam, ran the city kingdom. He felt it might be the most advanced in the world, and that the manners, hospitality, and governance of the Sultanate were all top tier. He and other Arab travelers were baffled by how judicial the Islamic system was within the Sultanate. Other travelers from China would speak of the Sultanate too, and the surrounding cities as well. Tuan Cheng had this to say about the area outside of Berbera. They do not eat any of the 5 grains, but eat only meat. They often stick a needle into the veins of cattle and draw blood, which they drink raw mixed with milk. They wear no clothes, but use goatskins to cover the parts below their waist. All, whether young or old, draw blood and swear oath before they trade their products. From olden times, they were not subject to any foreign country. In fighting, they use elephant tusk and ribs of buffalo horns as lances, and wear shields, bows, and arrows. The Arabs make frequent raids upon them. He also states the women were clean and properly behaved. Some were kidnapped and sold to foreign merchants, and they fetched several times their price. Another Chinese explorer, Chu Fan Chi, would state, "The people serve heaven, not the Buddha." They were fond of hunting with poison arrows. A sky animal, yellow in color, head high up, turned upwards in size like an ox I saw. A camel crane that locals claim can fly but not to any heights. A mule with red, black, and white stripes, wound like girdles around the body. The animals Chu Fan Chi was referring to is a giraffe, a ostrich, and a zebra. The Imam at the time, or Sultan, was Sa'ad al-Magdishawi. He traveled to China in the 1300s during the Yuan dynasty, and this was when the Mongolian were invading China and taking over. The Sultan would travel to Mecca in the Middle East to study for 28 years. He would then travel across the Middle East, across India, and visit the dynasty in China. In the 1200s, the Sultanate Kingdom of Mogadishu would come under the control of the Ajuran Sultanate. For the first time, the Sultanate was not just a city-state kingdom, but now was a city of the Ajuran Sultanate city-states. This would make it the new capital of a bigger empire, and the city would go on to become even more rich and experience a second golden age. So you guys, today we learned about another East African Somali Sultanate. Please like and subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you get all my videos. All my social media is Afric Network, which is Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Snapchat, Facebook. Each one teach one. Always love each other, always learning from each other. And yo guys, until next time, peace to Somalia. One love.